Like you, the only thing getting me through this quarantine is the daily mantra of Rapunzel did it, so I can too. She lived 18 years in isolation. We can do this. But I really can't do this. Not without looking like Rapunzel. I have to be Rapunzel to be Rapunzel, which means going blonde. Now, as salons are not open at this time, we're going to have to take matters into our own hands. This is not what I wanted. This is called Color Zap to like get the red out of my hair. Sounds like a step I don't have the patience for. Popsicle stick. I don't think I meant to put that there. A toothbrush, because clip, hairbrush, bleach stuff. This, my mom uses this. Instructions, the letters are really tiny, which could give me a headache. Unnecessary risk. Packaging. Lightning powder. Oh, the powder of lightning. All in a pouch. They harvested lightning and they powdered it. Developer. I wonder if I could pour this on my Polaroids and make them develop faster. Mascara wand, so I can bleach my eyelashes too. Nose hairs, paintbrush, shank. So that's what we have to work with.
I began by opening and sniffing the contents, then realizing that was a bad idea, mixing them all together, and then bon appetit, or as the French would say, bon appetit. I wanted a very subtle transformation, just something to blend my hair into the blonde extensions I have, so I began with little streaks.
Now, this bleach did come with gloves, but we are at a time where this is a rare commodity to have, so I'm saving these for when I have to go grocery shopping. Yes, I know my fingers will burn.
And burn it did. After about 2 minutes, my skin decided it wanted to socially distance itself from my body, and it hurt bad, so I broke down and put the gloves on, which sort of impaired my sense of touch, to the point where I didn't have very good control of what I was doing and sort of just covered my head in bleach.
Yeah, I know it's bad. Ugh, burns.
And when the bleach was all washed out, this is what I ended up with.
Brown, yellow, orange, purple, and blonde.
As satisfied as I was with these results, I decided why not slap on a little bit more color.
My hair might fall out. I know that is a risk, but in the words of Pedro from Napoleon Dynamite, it's really hot. My air conditioning is barely working. The pool is closed here because of, social distancing. But this hair color will make me cooler. So, in case you're worried, Garion is outside away from the fumes, but where I can see him.
So I slathered that color on the front half of my head, because I've never really been one to care about what the back half of my head looks like.
I have toner, but I really only need it in the roots, so I put it on a toothbrush. Just getting crafty with it. This is enjoyable.
It actually turned out exactly as I anticipated. I wanted a very subtle transformation, just something to blend.
Shut up.
Then I went grocery shopping, and a neat little thing happened. I found some Pez dispensers, and right behind the Snow White was a Rapunzel. It was like a sign that I was making a Rapunzel costume right after making a Snow White costume. I mean, not a particularly useful sign. It was like the equivalent to if you opened a fortune cookie and the fortune said, "You just opened a fortune cookie."
I guess that means I should make whatever the third one is. Ew, it's so off. No.
Then I returned home and examined the dress I would be mutating into Rapunzel's dress.
Do you consider that to be 6 feet apart?
In bird ears it is.
That night I was feeling deficient in creative juices, so I thought maybe Garion and I should have a movie night. I thought he might like the movie The Birds, and he did. I, however, didn't feel like it was great for our relationship, so I decided to leave him on the couch while I worked on my dress. Now here's how I transformed this $7 thrifted beauty. I began by separating the bodice from the skirt, and then I flipped all the bodice pieces inside out and made them a little smaller. That way, the plain purple lining side would be on the outside, and the black flowery embroidered side would be nestled scratchily against my body. If you're wondering why I didn't simply dispose of this layer, it's because I wanted my bodice to have as many layers as possible for structure. And getting more fabric was out of the question, because this day and age, going to the store feels like going to the cornucopia in the middle of the arena in Hunger Games.
Okay, he just flew over and landed on that dress, and hold on, you need to see my face.
Speaking of beauty, to make those beautiful little puffed sleeves of hers, I'm going to harvest the lining fabric from my skirt and utilize it for my shoulder hats. I cut several chipmunk-length pieces of pink ribbon, then glued them down to my sleeves, no more than a Reese's cup width apart. Then I folded under and ironed down a finger width of fabric on the bottom. Now to make the undershirt, you're going to need a jersey knit the color of a hippo's milk. Fold it in half, then cut out a Pop-Tart shape about the size of your upper body. Now fold that in half and cut out a neck hole and some armholes. You should end up with a doubled up piece that looks like this. Now on another folded over piece of fabric, trace your arm and cut out 2 sleeves. Now add a splash of lace to the bottom of each sleeve. Attach the sleeves to the bodice, then sew shut the sides of the bodice and the inside of the sleeves. While in the throes of this project, I was watching clips from Tangled to get inspiration. And then inevitably I came up with my own version of When Will My Life Begin quarantine style, but I didn't put it in this video because of copyright issues, but yeah, that's how desperate times are. I, who have no musical capabilities, made a music video. Link in the description. The next morning I woke up and had nothing to wear, so I made a little top out of the excess fabric I had left over from my undershirt. Back to Rapunzel's dress, take a moment to familiarize yourself with your surroundings. This will help aid in the prevention of accidental concussions, and I find that in general, it's just nice to know where you are. Now cut your bodice in half right down the front of the middle, then fold over and sew the front edges.
We have an emergency. It is March 31st, which means it's Fool's Eve. Tomorrow will be the first April Fool's that I've not spent with my dad. And every year I have done the same thing where I put a rubber band around this thing. And he every year accidentally sprays himself in the morning before work. And it's
so funny, but
I'm in a different state than him. So I'm gonna have to try to pull some springs. That's not a thing. Pull some strings.
Call Micah.
Calling Micah Tewers mobile.
Hello?
so here's the deal.
I will cash app you $100 if you go to Dad's house tonight and put a rubber band around the sprayer nozzle.
Are you serious?
I'm totally serious. $100.
Oh, shoot. Is there anyone else?
You're the only one who has a key. $120? Do I hear 120? Okay, well, I guess I'll call someone else if that's a no.
I love you.
But luckily, I was able to get a hold of my beloved friend Courtney, and she was able to pay my dad a nice, pointless, pleasant visit. Or so it seemed.
Can I have a cup of water?
Yes, you can.
I think I know who put you up to that. Your glass of water.
Thanks. For my next prank, I decided to make Garion think he was in outer space. That'll teach him not to fly away from mommy. To make straps for my bodice, I cut out strips of fabric that were the length of 2 Hershey bars and the width of 1. Before sewing those on, make sure you try your bodice on and make adjustments accordingly. Because permanence is permanent. Little something I learned while bleaching my hair. Now sew down the channel along the bottom of each of your sleeves. Then fold and pleat the sleeves until they fit perfectly in the armhole of your bodice. Then sew them in place. If you're watching Tiger King and you're having trouble hearing the dialogue over your sewing machine, you can hand sew any part of this, as I did with the hem of my bodice.
Hey all you cool cats and kittens, Micarah here.
Just dropping in to explain how I put boning in my bodice. I simply put boning in my bodice. Oh, by the way, somehow the clip of this got deleted, but I put elastic in that bottom channel of the sleeve, so they're all bunchy now.
Hey there, I'm trying to sleep, but I'm at 999,000 subscribers.
And I don't want to hit 1 million while I'm asleep.
Like, what a cruel trick of fate. Oh my gosh, it's April Fool's. Fate would.
Even though I hid it while I was asleep, I'm still super grateful, especially to all of you and to my mom for making me these brownies and stuff. Also, that day was great because I played the song Celebrate and Garion danced for the first time. Then after eating dinner at my mom's, I put my mannequin under her car in her driveway, then called her and told her I thought I left my phone in her driveway and asked if she could check.
Oh gosh, you little brat.
Maybe not the most exciting reaction, but what's great about this story is the fact that I called her from my phone to tell her my phone was missing, and neither of us realized anything was odd about that. I hope you're in the mood for piercing because it's time to perforate our bodice. Draw some dots down the inside of the front of your bodice, each one exactly a fun-sized Snickers width apart. Now copy those dots on the other side and stab, stab, stab those little guys. You're going to want to make a hole big enough for a grommet to fit through. What is a grommet, you ask? Well, it's one of these little things, but we don't want ours to be silver, so we're going to put some double-sided tape on a piece of paper, line the grommets up, and then paint them pink. Now using pure brute strength or a hammer, insert all of the grommets. Now to manipulate my skirt into fitting me perfectly, I first cut out a waistband that was exactly the size of my waist. Then I pleated the skirt until it fit perfectly within that waistband. An important Rapunzel-esque feature is this little opening in the front of her skirt, so I folded 2 flaps in the front of the skirt inward to sort of simulate that. Then I ripped all the netting out of my skirt because Rapunzel's skirt hangs quite limply. I like the sound of that, limply. I'm gonna name my daughter that someday. Now iron down those 2 front pleats so you have a smooth canvas to work on. Now break out your pink and purple fabric paints, then freehand an equal number of scribbles, squiggles, and swirlies. Now this task, I'll admit, was quite a fun one. I highly recommend you get a couple of these $1.79 fabric paints and scribble all over everything you own. Next, I hot glued some lace around the neckline, waistline, and the bottom of the skirt. Then I laced up the front of the bodice and the dress was done, but the most important part had not even begun. To make my Rapunzel braid, I used this whole package of yaki hair. And this package. And this one. I started off by tying the first package of hair to the edge of a chair, braiding it halfway down, and then adding additional wefts. Is that a thing? Did I just make that up? I feel like that might be a form of farting. I added pieces as I went. Then at the end, for extra thickness, I added a few smaller braids to loop around it. And to do those, I put the hair in my mouth, and I was somehow the worst yet best feeling ever. It's like popping someone else's zit. Feels really satisfying, but also kind of unsettling. Then I interwove those smaller braids into the larger one. Then, to decorate it, I dismembered 2 Dollar Tree bouquets, leaving a couple inches of stem at the base of each flower so that I could weave it in and out of the hair. A few of them I hot glued to the edge of bobby pins. Then I hot glued a modesty panel to one side of the inside of my bodice, and then I made some medical masks. It was hard to focus though with a scandalously undressed dress form in the room, so I dressed her real quick. Now for a super quick makeup tutorial. Rapunzel's face is super round, so I didn't contour anything except the very tip of the nose. I made it look a little rounder, and then focused on making my right eye look really big and cartoonish. Achieving this requires putting white eyeliner on your waterline and some deep brown eyeshadow a little bit beneath your lower lash line and on your crease. And of course you'd be remiss to forget the lashes and brows. And in a moment, I'll show you the difference between the two eyes. Can you tell which one has makeup on it? That's right, it's the one you chose. What a clever bean you are. Then I applied blush, lipstick, and of course did the other eye, and fashioned my hair into a fun swoopy bun. To give my face that mysteriously sun-kissed and freckly look, and I say mysterious because she lived her whole life indoors, so I don't really understand the freckles. I made little dots with eyebrow pencil, then went over them with translucent powder. Attaching my braid to my bun was pretty easy because I had sewed this comb to it, but you could do something similar with a claw clip, an actual comb cut in half, some bobby pins, or your grandpa's dentures. And now shield your eyes as I give you a little reminder of what this dress looked like before.
What did you say? Did I mumble, Mother? Oh, Mom, you have a frying pan? A neighbor is offering me a frying pan.